Hello, I am Munir Haq and you are watching the tutorial on Android Jetpack Navigation. Navigation is the new way for developers to navigate their application. Android Jetpack's navigation component helps you implement navigation from simple button clicks to more complex patterns such as app bars and the navigation drawers. In this tutorial, I will show you how to use navigation, NavHostFragment and NavGraph. This tutorial is predominantly on Android navigation, but I will also show you how to use Fragments, which is an essential UI component in modern Android application development. So before starting, I will like you to show the app which we will build today. This is a simple app. I named this app is Fragment Bakery, and this is a actually you show that this all these things is a fragment, and when I click let's see it changes the fragment just like from this fragment come to this fragment. This is ice cream fragment, and when I click here it goes to the this fragment, and when I click the donut fragment it will go to the champion fragment, and when I press back it will come to the backward, and finally the app closes. So this is the app. As in this tutorial we will use fragments, I would like to add a little brief on fragment. Fragment is actually a modular or functional part of an activity. An activity may host one or more fragments. A single activity can make transitions between its hosted fragment. Android fragments take the responsibility of UI details and leaving the other responsibilities to activity. Fragment reduces the redundant use of activities for small changes. Fragments always exist within the context of a given activity and can always access that activity. So, and the navigation, Android Jetpack's navigation helps the fragment and activity to navigate between its states out of box. So, without any further talking, we will start coding. So, let's first open our Android Studio and start a new project and select the empty activity, and we'd like to make our application like navigation bakery. We will name the application like navigation bakery. Okay, and finish. So the first thing we will do, we will go to the Gradle script, Gradle build.gradle, and there we need to add dependencies for navigation. So I will copy paste it from here. So I give the dependencies here, and we will also like to add data binding here. So in data binding enabled to, and we will press the sync now. By the way, if you don't know how data binding works, I have a full playlist for data binding. Please watch the tutorial. So after the successful Gradle build, we will go to the activity main.xml, and there I made a little change like for the simplicity of the app I will make it a, in here it is a constant layout. I'll make it a linear layout, and the orientation will be vertical orientation, and I also will change it test view to recycle test view to fragment. Okay, and we will also give an ID to the fragment. Sorry, ID equals, we gave it a name like frag underscore host. So this is the fragment where this is the host fragment where the other fragments will appear and make transitions in the inside the activity. Well, we need to do a couple more things like we'll make the fragment is match parent. And for better understand, we'll open the preview and make some space. Okay, and we also layout how height will be match parent, and we will make the background linear layout background as white. So the background, because this is the color code of white. Okay, and to add the data binding facility, we will add data binding. We'll first add the layout, and actually we don't have much workaround of data binding here, but adding data bind to each project is a very good practice. So we will keep this good practice, and we'll take an indent here. Also we will cut these XMLNS things, cut and paste under the layout. Okay, so our main activity is ready, and we need to make a fragment. And we will make a fragment and place the fragment manually to the fragment section and see what happens. We will right click over our package and select new, and it will be insert as fragment, and our fragment will be blank fragment. So we'll give a name. The name of the fragment will be um, bakery fragment, and we will uncheck these two boxes and only keep this create XML layout, and we will press finish. So here we will write couple of things. We see here one thing, that's on create view. Actually, on create view is a lifecycle method of fragment. Actually, here all those views actually built in this on create view. So the first thing first, we will go to the layout of fragment bakery, and this is the fragment bakery layout, and here we will do couple of things. First of all, we will change the frame layout to linear layout, and we will also add layout view group on the very top of the XML file. And one more thing, we will cut those XMLNS attributes and paste to layout inside the layout. Okay, we need a space here. Okay, fine. So it will be linear, orientation will be vertical, and here we will do couple of things. First of all, we will put some images. In order to add those images, we need to add those images in drawables. We'll do a trick. We go to the res folder and right click and find the show in explorer. We'll go there, and inside the res folder we will create a folder name drawable minus no dpi. Okay, and inside the drawable no dpi we will paste some image. I already have made those images, so let me show you these images. Yes, these four images we will use. We will simply copy paste those images into inside the drawable -node API folder. So node API. We got those images, and now we will add an image view inside the recycler, inside the linear layout. The image view with width will be match parent and height will be here we will use 220 dp, and to source we will use image source will be here the bakery image. So drawable this image bakery, and we will give it a weight of 1. Layout weight equals 1, and also we will add a scale type. Scale type will be feet center, and we will need a text box. So the text box is text view, and text view will be width will be match parent and height will be wrap content, and the text will be um, are you hungry or something like that. Try, we will say that text will be try our foods, try our foods, and text size will be 24 dp. Actually writing these things, and weight layout will be 1. Actually writing these kind of things is quite cumbersome, so it takes a lot of time. So I already have made the style file, so I will make the copy paste those style. So I have made a style for image view, for text view, and for buttons. So we will reuse the style, and writing we will write code more easier. So I have made the design file, the style file. You can copy paste. I have made the image style and big text style and button style. We will simply copy the style, and we will go to the res values styles, and inside this resource tag we will paste it. So now go back to the fragment underscore bakery XML, and we will delete those things and make a attribute style equals style image style. So image got his style, its style, and we will also delete this and apply style equals big text style, and we will also need a button. So the button, and it will be wrap content, and again we have a style for this button also, button, and this is button style, and we will give it text that will be let's try. So quite good. And so the image view weight also will be 1. So layout weight will be 1. So we will go back to the bakery fragment and we will initialize, or we will declare the data binding object, the let init var binding. It will be type name will be like fragment bakery xml, sorry, fragment bakery binding. So fragment, sorry, name will be the fragment bakery binding. We already got it. And we inside the view, we will comment it out and we will initialize like binding equals we will get data binding util dot inflate, and it will be, so inflate actually in activity we use set content view, but it is fragment, so the set content view is not present here, and instead of set content view we will use inflate. So inflate, and we need some parameters like inflator. We will use inflator here, inflator, and also the second parameter will be the layout file. So it will be r dot layout dot fragment bakery, and we will also need the parent view or parent view group. So container, in our case this container, and finally we do not want to attach the view with the view hierarchy, so it will be false. And finally we need to bind. So binding, we will return the root of the root of the view. So it will return root of the view. Okay. Next thing, we will go to the activity underscore main dot xml file, and there inside the fragment we will manually host the bakery fragment here. So for that we will need the name and the full specified path of that fragment, and we will give a build. So one thing, this we have done this manually for test purpose only. In real life, or later on this in this project we will use navigation. So let me see whether it is running or not. Yes, this is running, but let's try clicking on let's try is doing nothing. Actually we have manually put this fragment inside the fragment host, and now we will use the navigation fragment, but navigation host fragment, but before that we will need to add some more fragments in this project. So let's add those fragments first. Then we will go to the again we will make some new fragments. So we'll go right click here and go to the new and go to the fragment and the fragment blank. We will uncheck these two boxes and name the fragment is ice cream fragment, ice cream fragment, and finish. So this is the layout for ice cream fragment. As those fragments layout is more like same, we will copy paste the bakery fragment things to ice fragment. So we will simply copy paste, control all and control copy, and we will simply copy paste. But one thing, we will need to change this tools context. We will not need this tools context. Now we will also need to change the image. We will press here, we'll call it ice cream. We have a ice cream, okay. And we will also change the change the text. It will be try ice cream. And we will also change the button text. It will be let's eat ice cream. Ice cream. Let's eat ice cream. Okay. And we will go to the ice cream fragment.kt, and the things are more likely same. So we will write the and the same as the we done previously. And binding it will be it will name as fragment ice cream binding. So it will be named as fragment ice cream binding, and we will comment it out, and it will be binding equals data binding util and here we will inflate it will be inflator, and the second parameter will be r dot layout dot this layout. So fragment ice cream layout, and it will be container will be the parent, and we don't want to attach it to the hierarchy, so it will be false. And finally return the view, and the return view will be the root of the binding. Return binding dot root. Okay, for the simplicity of the app, we will not adding binding anymore, adding fragments anymore. So rather we will concentrate on navigations. So let's see how to add the navigation. So first thing we need to do, we will go to the res folder, right click on it here, and we will find the new, and we will add Android resource directory. So Android resource directory, and we need to name it. We can give it a name like navigation, and the resource type, it is several kinds of types. So we will select the navigation and press OK. And inside inside the res folder, we can see another newly created folder, navigation, and we will right click there, and the new and navigation resource file, and we will name it app underscore navigation. Now we can see the top left corner, there is a plus sign, and if we click here, we can see two fragments here, bakery fragment and ice cream fragment we just created. So first we will add the bakery fragment, and when we add the bakery fragment, we easily can see it's showing the start. Actually this is the navigation window, and in the navigation a default fragment is required here. The first fragment, bakery fragment, is our uh, default fragment, and we will also need one more fragment like ice cream fragment, and we'll place it here, and we will create a action. We will press here and drag a line towards the ice cream fragment. So this thing is a action. We can also see it in the text tab. You can see the action has been created, and this is the name of the action. By adding this action, we are telling the navigation that you will go from bakery fragment to ice cream fragment. So this is the action. So if we run this app and see what happened there. So when we click let's try, it's not going to the ice cream fragment. So because this is we have specified the action, but we have not tell that how the action would be work. So we will set something inside the set on click listener, and to set on click listener of this button, and we will set the action in the set on click listener of this button. So before adding the set on click listener, we need to do one thing, because we have if we go to the um, activity main XML, we have done this. We have done this bakery fragment here. We have written this manually. We will not do this manually. We will use the dynamic navigation fragment, and for this there is a fragment host. It is called NavHostFragment. So NavHostFragment is responsible for making those navigation transition through the navigation. So we will add the name will be, so we will type this name like Android X dot navigation dot fragment dot nav host fragment. Okay, the nav host fragment will now do the dynamic transition between our fragments. Okay, now one more thing, we need to tell the fragment what navigation layout we are using. We are using this navigation XML file, so we need to tell our the we need to tell it inside our activity underscore main XML. So we will write app NavGraph equals, that will be app navigation. So this path. Okay, and the last thing we need to do, we need to add app default nav host equals true. So what does the default nav host do? Actually, we need to tell the fragment that this nav host is actually handle the back button when we press the physical back button of the device. Who will be the owner, or who will be responsible for the back button handling nature? So in our case, there is single this is the single navigation there is in this project, and it is the default nav host. So what we need to do now, we will go to the ice cream fragment. We will so we will so first of all we'll go to the the bakery fragment, and now what we do, we will add set on click insert on this button, let's try button. So we need to give it a id. This is id, this is button bakery, and we will go to the bakery fragment, and I will delete this, and after the binding, the inflation, the binding but the data binding util dot inflate, we will use the set on click listener of that button binding dot the button bakery dot set on click listener, and here we will use the lambda function, and the lambda the single fragment a single this is the single argument, so the it is using the it. So we will what we will do is the navigation dot find nav controller. We need to find the nav controller. We will use it and navigate through the r dot id of that action. So action bakery fragment to ice cream fragment. We are using that action. The navigation, we are using that action. Okay. So go to get back to the bakery fragment. So basically, inside the set on click listener of this button, we are telling that you should whenever you will be clicked, you should follow the action of the navigation. So let us build this app again, and we already have built, and if we now the app has arrived, and when we paste the let's go to the ice cream fragment. So, so far we have learned how to use navigation, and how to use fragments, and how to use navigation to transition through the fragments. This is the very basic of the of navigation. Navigation has many more features like passing datas and states of activities through between those fragments, but this is the very basic tutorial of navigation, and I have I have put the whole project in GitHub, and please see the link from the video description. For today the tutorial has been end, and thank you so much.